How will you measure your life? That's the question I want to begin today's episode with. Hey there, this is Kamna Jain, and welcome back to these episodes that I'm launching currently, where I talk about different things, perspectives, anything which I think gives you food for thought to just ponder on, and that's my only objective here with this entire series that's going on. Taking today's question, how will you measure your life? Right now, since I'm recording this when we are nearing the year end, of course, I think after a point you stop taking New Year resolutions, you stop having faith in them. Even I've personally stopped, taking it very seriously and then probably feeling a little disappointed when some of them don't happen. But one thing that I still think is very important and should continue to be done is to at least stop and reflect. And that is what I think the entire purpose of festivals, birthdays, year end, New Year is. I mean, imagine when we talk about company accounting and financials, if there was no financial year end, maybe a lot of us would just procrastinate, figuring out where our finances are, how much did our company or, business make, where are most of what are the major expenses, where is the fund going, etc., etc. Now, because there is a deadline, like right now, if I talk about even your personal income tax return filing, right now the deadline is and it's towards the year end, right? 30 end of December. So what happens is you'll see a ton of people rushing to figure out, okay, what was my income, how much tax is there, what can I do to save. Now, if these accountability factors were not there, probably we would just be pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, right? Just like that, I think that's the importance of these, calendars, dates, because a lot of people actually tell me, you know, I don't believe in special days, or these special days are not important. Every day should be good. Now, while I think every day should be good, I think these special days do deserve special acknowledgement so that we stop, we reflect, and we go and we grow stronger. Now, coming back to how will you measure your life? So obviously, first of all, this title that I'm using is a title I have derived from a book which is called as How Will You Measure Your Life. I've read the book. It's a pretty great one. It gives you perspective about, to think a little bit into the future, learn from others' experiences. But it's also the title that I've always loved. I think since the day I saw it, the title was just stuck in my mind. So I'm happy to be actually coming here and sharing, my thoughts on a topic which I have the name of which I have taken from a book which I loved and the title of which I loved even more, right? So what I mean by how will you measure your life is what I exactly mean is I want you to ask that question to yourself right now. Because trust me, life really just keeps on going on an automatic mode. And that's the good part, and that's the bad part. Because the good part is that if you are having bad nights or dark and long days or any kind of difficulty, right? You know that it will pass. So that way it's good. But at the same time, the sad part is it is going on always in an automatic mode. So if you don't really stop, you'll just be taken in a direction. And if you don't decide which direction you want to go to, you may actually be running in full force, but you may be going in the direction opposite to where you want. And it's not always that you can make up for the distance that has, like gone extra or the wrong direction that you have stepped in. But there's always scope to make progress. And let's talk about that, right? Optimism is important because without optimism, there's no hope, there's no route. So, as much as people say be realistic, be practical, I would say be, optimistically practical, right? Don't have absurd dreams, but at the same time, don't like be negative. See what's the best thing you can do. So, first of all, why is it important that you stop and you think? And as we've been discussing, this is important so that it's not too late. I don't know, for some reason, growing up, there's been a thought process which I have had in my mind, which sometimes makes me stop and think, which is something like this. Okay, if I am on my deathbed, okay, and I am reflecting back on my life, whatever I am doing now, how does that make me feel to imagine that, okay, my life is about to end. I cannot really do anything else. Am I happy with the decisions I took for myself? Does it make me feel good? Does it make me feel like I did the right thing? So I just try to keep myself in that place. And then I try to think of, what's important for me or what's not. So that's the first thing that, that's just the perspective that I wanted to put in here. Now, what can you essentially think about? Some things which you can really focus on. So first thing you can think about is that, are you actually doing something in your life that you want to do rather than what you need to do? Now, there's someone I know, and they put it actually very beautifully for me. They said, if you have a passion, and maybe because it's not sustainable or feasible for you right now and you're not following it, it's okay. But he told me that if you are not following your passion, that's fine, but make sure you don't lose touch with your passion, right? So these are the things that you want to do. You love sketching, you love roller skating, cycling, swimming, poetry, art, craft, cooking, baking, singing, learning an instrument, playing it, whatever it is, right? These are, say, any of your hobbies or passion, but you are in a full-time job or you're working on a venture which is really giving you your bread and butter, or whatever it is, for whatever reason you're doing something else, make sure you don't lose touch with your passion, right? So are you actually doing things that you want to, or are you just doing things that you need to? So that's the first thing you need to ask yourself. And you need to identify, are you doing at least one thing which you do for yourself solely because you enjoy it, because you love it? Because I think at the end of the day, right, when you can't really do things, you're just there and you think about how have you spent your time, you definitely want to see yourself having lived a comfortable life, having good enough things. But I think it's also important that you would love to see yourself having spent time doing what you love. So I think it's very important to make some time for these things as well. So see what is the proportion, are you doing it, or how are things going on for you? Second, which are the aspects of your life that are currently making you genuinely happy? Right now, it doesn't really have to be an activity. It's also other things like spending time with your family, spending time with your friends, helping someone who, say that, you have a certain kind of, cause that you relate with. Doing even a little, putting even a little effort towards that will make you happy. Or sometimes just chilling, doing what you love, just anything that really makes you happy. Are you doing these things on a regular basis? And how many of the things that you're doing are you actually doing because they matter to you, right? If, for example, you're someone, there are a lot of people who I think are comfortable with minimalistic lifestyle, but just because the norm is to have like everything luxurious, everything sorted, that becomes the mindset. Again, the way you look at life, is it actually your definition, or is it someone else's definition of life that you're trying to live? So maybe you cannot completely live your definition immediately, but at least it's important that you know what is your definition of how you would love to live your life, and you constantly evaluate how far or close are you from that, and whether there is anything you can do to actually get closer to that. Because time is flying, time is running. We think that, okay, opportunities will come our way, but they always won't. Sometimes you have to stop, you have to hunt for them, even if things are going on, because sometimes it may actually get too late. So what are some of the things that you can do, maybe by stopping and just figuring out what else can you do in the next year, probably, right? Now, on those lines, what I think you can do is, first of all, I would say, yes, it's important to take care of your responsibilities. If you're obligated to anyone, if you have any kind of commitments, yes, definitely let's ensure that we try to do that. So let that be the focus. So one mindset shift, that I have seen that is really helpful is, instead of thinking of these responsibilities as, things that you are forced to do or things that you are just doing, you can just accept that and think that, yes, I will make sure I take care of it. And you build that confidence in yourself and you focus on that. And this is something I share from my personal experience, that when you let a particular thought brew in your mind for long, right? And if you really, really want it badly, it's not like things automatically come to you. It's like you start noticing them. And that's why, things start happening and it actually happens, right? So That being said, it makes a lot of sense that you really put your focus on these responsibilities. If that is something you're running away from, or that is something that's making you feel negative, and you decide that yes, I am going to get it done. Second, why everything else that we spoke about you and doing things which matter to you. Now, why they are important is because it is a fact that you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're not happy and you expect that you make the ones around you happy, it will not happen. So while you can't evade your responsibilities, you can make sure that you do at least one thing for yourself, right? And how you decide that one thing that you want to do for yourself is, just imagine that you're in a state where you don't have enough time or energy to do anything. Now, what is the biggest regret you will have, or what is it that you will miss doing the most in that state? Is it, is it just the comfort that you get? Is it just the luxuries, or is it, like, determine your factor? What matters to you? Comfort and luxury in your life, right? Or number of people you have helped? Is it fulfilling your family's wishes and desires? Is it just spending some good time with your friends? Is it going for experiences, events, going on stage, speaking, or just sharing your thoughts, expressing, being a content creator, putting your thoughts in a blog, sharing videos? Or is it just traveling, adventure, going on unplanned trips? What matters to you? So make sure you dedicate some time and you give it that time, and that will actually enable you to handle your responsibilities better, because when you are fulfilled, you automatically perform better, right? So this is what I wanted to tell you. And one final actionable thought I would love to leave you with is, whatever it is that you decide, right, whether be it in terms of things you want to do, need to do, should do, can do, are doing, I think affirmations really work. In the sense, if you, it's not like, like, I look at affirmations in a very, very practical way. I don't think that, you just keep saying it like, a rosary bead or mala and it automatically happens. I think it happens in a very practical way, because when you walk on the street, for example, right, if there's an architect with you or someone who's into, the construction line, they're going to notice the buildings, or they're going to notice the plots of land. If there's someone who is an environmentalist, or they love making sure that go green and there is enough oxygen, which is important, and there are enough trees for us to survive, they're going to notice the number of trees that are there or that can be planted. If there is someone who just loves the sky, wants to be a pilot, and that was their dream, they're going to notice and look up into the sky, right? That being said, it's just that it's so clear that what is our point of focus, that is what we end up putting our time, energy, and attention to. So that's how affirmations work, that when you keep telling yourself you want something, you keep reminding yourself that you want it, and that's why you focus on it more. And it's literally the fact that once you get into it, and you get into it with enough dedication, you will be able to figure out a way. So that's my ending thought for you. Just a quick summary. First of all, decide and just evaluate your life, because that's where it begins. See where you are. What are you doing because you should be doing? What are you doing because you want to do it? Make sure that, there is some proportion you're doing and some effort you're giving to the things that you want to do. Second, take a moment to evaluate that when you're at the end of your life, or when you're in a position when you're a little older, you don't have the time, energy, or you have more responsibilities, what is it that you would crave to do? Something that just gives you that adrenaline rush, makes you happy, makes you feel fulfilled, right? Make sure you do that if you're not doing it already. And just also figure out what are the things that you think make your life fulfilled. Slowly try to move towards that and make them a bigger and bigger part of your life. So there are still some days to go before this year ends and you step into the next year. This is what I would love to leave you with. And just ask yourself, how will you measure your life? Figure out an answer. And even if you can't dedicate your entire life to doing that, make sure you dedicate at least one part of it, so that when you look in the mirror or when you go to sleep, you sleep with a sense of relief, with a sense of fulfillment, which energizes you more to live, to wake up, to do things the next day. On that note, I end today's episode. Take care. Let me know in the comments below for sure if you like this, if you had any actionable insights, or if there's any thought that you want to share. I would love to share. Take care and goodbye.